National University of Singapore, NUS, recently introduced measures to address issues due to tourists visiting its grounds, which some students say has disrupted campus life. Now, these include a registration system for tour buses and a visitor access system to control crowds. The move also comes months after Nanyang Technological University, or NTU, made it mandatory for travel agencies planning tours to their campus to seek prior approval. Tourists must also pay an entry fee. But can a balance be struck where tourists get to see two of the world's top universities and without causing any disruption to university campus life? With us is Melvin Lee, founder and CEO of Flying Chalks, which is an education consultancy that organizes tours to our universities for foreigners looking to study here. Melvin, welcome to the show. Were these measures by NUS and NTU absolutely necessary?
Thank you for having me. Local university student myself in the past, I can fully understand the students' concerns and how they are being affected. I think their complaints are fair, as there hasn't been much being done to control the visitors and ensure a great experience for all stakeholders up until this year, in spite of the rapid rise in visitor numbers. And I think all parties can benefit from a greater experience should there be common grounds established. Having said that, I feel that students should also understand that many of these visitors bring value to their school and their academic experience. It could be direct value through joint programs, exchanges, events, networking. It could be indirect value through greater awareness and recognition of the school amongst employers, especially foreign companies and institutions who are not familiar with Singapore. Greater familiarity also allows the school to better attract top talents, both students and faculty, which further reinforces the school's global standing, amongst others.
Look, Melvin, I reckon it's a great thing, but sometimes when you have too many tourists coming around, then they're crowding the libraries, they're maybe even peering into the lecture halls, they're even sneaking into the residential dormitory accommodation areas. So it can be a bit disruptive, because sometimes as well they take these shuttle buses too. So I can understand why some people are a bit frustrated or a bit annoyed by this, because it's not controlled. It's just them everywhere. Definitely. There is now a registration process for tour buses. We know you're involved in this business. You help organize tours to our universities for foreigners who are looking to perhaps study here. Has that impacted your business at all, your business operations, since these measures were introduced?
I would say yes. Firstly, is whether these policies and guidelines are being made clear. I think a lot of the policies are still being introduced. A lot of the things are still being discussed and being tweaked. So there's not much clarity as to how we should be able to conduct such tours. And this lack of clarity then affects us in terms of whether should we propose these campus tours to our clients. And our clients can be, foreign families, it can be schools, it can be universities, it can be companies, we even have government organizations who are keen to do such tours. So without clarity, we are a bit hesitant to include these tours as part of our program, even though it might bring value to all stakeholders. So I think definitely there's some impact there.
Okay, so tell us, where do you bring these foreign students to, or families from overseas who are interested to find out more about our top universities? Where do you bring them to once they enter the university grounds at NUS or NTU?
Yeah. We actually do campus tours with all the local universities, not only the public universities, but even our private universities as well. We do not follow a fixed route. It's really depend on what our client is looking for. So as I shared, we have a myriad of clients. They come from families, schools, government organizations. We even have companies. So it really depends on their purpose of the visit. So for example, we have schools who are looking to do some exchanges with students. So a tour is only a small part of the program, but really they are looking at perhaps interacting with members of certain student clubs in the school. We have government organizations who are here to learn more about entrepreneurship, and then we bring them to visit the startup incubators on these university campuses and allow them to interact with the startups being incubated at these universities.
So you have a lot of coordination to deal with as well. So how many people are you looking at on a day-to-day or weekly basis that you bring around to our different universities?
We offer tailored programs, so we don't do it on a regular basis. It's more on an on-demand basis. But I would say that the peak season is usually during the summer break between June to August, as that's when most countries would have their summer holidays, and that's when students, faculty, and all these organizations are typically more free to go for such tours.
Okay, so do you think it's better that you have even closer collaborations with the universities that you're interested? You could always give them the amount of people that will be coming to the campus, and you'll be able to go to different places without impacting the student life per se.
Yes, definitely. I think everyone can benefit from a clearer set of rules and restricted areas to abide to, and that is also well published to all visitors. There should be a common understanding as to which areas are accessible and welcoming of visitors and which areas are not. And for areas that are open, I think students should also have the understanding that minor inconveniences are inevitable. And I think NUS recent policy of training and having their own student guides for campus tours is also a great initiative, as visitors can benefit from a proper introduction and tour of the school, while students also have the assurance that these visitors are properly managed. But it can get tricky if the visitors are not there just for the tours, but to attend events, participate in programs. They could be guests invited by student clubs and faculty, etc. And these visitors should be classified and managed separately, in my opinion.
Why don't you actually do these tours on weekends? Isn't that a better idea? Instead of crowding the place up with, these tourists who are also in competition when they go to the canteen. My son goes to NUS and he says sometimes, there are a lot of foreign visitors as well. So maybe if we can have the tours coming over the weekend, would that help? Or maybe restrict them to after 6 p.m. or very early in the morning. Could all that help too?
Sure. I think, firstly, I would say that only a very small percentage of visitors are actual tourists who are visiting for no good reason. Hence, I think that there has been a misconception and a misbranding that, all these visitors are simply tourists and they offer little value to the school, and and we want to impose restrictions to shut them out. I would say that a lot of these visitors are actually there for a purpose. They could be there for programs, they could be there for student exchanges, they could be there to attend some activities, etc.
That may be what you're doing, but then there are a lot of others who just go there to just sightsee, take a few pictures at some of the more popular faculties as well. So that also adds to that crowd. And those disruptions as well. Because students, as you know, they're very busy, especially university students. They're moving from one lecture to another. And sometimes when you have to fight the crowd to cut across, or you find that sometimes some people are in areas they shouldn't be, because in our universities we're quite fortunate. They're very open door. Anyone can just drive through or walk in. There are fewer restrictions. Could you see that if it gets a bit more disruptive, could there be more measures, maybe even more security at these places?
Yeah, definitely. I think NUS and NTU are much bigger campuses. I'm a SMU student, so SMU's campus is wide open for everyone to visit. And when I was a student, we do have some issues with visitors taking up our spaces, etc. But I think ultimately, if there is good control and there's also proper understanding of the value that these visitors can bring on the student side, I think all stakeholders can benefit.
Okay, before we let you go, we know that NTU has imposed a fee plus online registration for tour groups. Will that mean you will be avoiding NTU, or you'll just pass it on to the customer, the tourist that's visiting?
Yes. I think on a business perspective, I can already see that many of our industry partners are avoiding NTU. I'm not sure if that's a good thing for the school and the students.
Right.
But I feel that ultimately, we are just looking for a right balance to be achieved, right? We want visitors and students, including alumni, to still be able to access the campus with convenience and feel welcome, while also having a clear set of rules and restricted areas to abide to so that everyone can have a great experience.
Thank you, Melvin Lee, founder and CEO of Flying Chalks, which is an education consultancy that organizes tours to our universities for foreigners looking to study here in Singapore.